fine.
After the discussion, what is your main message?
Yes. So we will be continue our debate not only about Finland and Sweden. So we have more urgent issues to discuss, like Ukraine and strengthening eastern flank of NATO. And that's the main Czech interest, of course, to strengthen the eastern flank of NATO, so we contain this Russia threat.
When you're discussing about enlargement of allies,
Yes.
what is your answer to the countries who want to become a member, such as Georgia, Ukraine? What's your answer? What we can wait from the Madrid summit?
NATO open door policy is there. Sweden and Finland are a very good example of that. For the other countries, we need to go through this political and practical processes. So it's not easy answer, of course, I know.
How do you see what's the main challenge, for example, for Georgia when you are discussing threats from Russia? Our territory is occupied by Russia. Those threats are really real for us. So what can you offer to your partners?
Everything is built upon a political will, and we need to find a common consensus on that. And if there are countries which are slowing the process down, this is the answer. So it's not easy answer, but we have to be looking for solution all the time. Yeah.
After
Yeah.
last night, a meeting with the Swedish
Yeah.
What's your sense? How serious is the threat that Turkey could potentially block their accession?
I think we need to discuss, we need to listen to each other and be looking actively for a solution. I think this is what is going on, honestly.
What does Turkey really want?
I won't disclose details of negotiations. Thank you. Goodbye.
Genau, da kommt das erste Auto.
So, Kanada kommt.
Oder auch nicht.
Ja, aber es ist
Der Typ steht direkt.
Good morning. Good morning again. Oh, fine. That's very good. Please. One of you helping with this one. I'll draw. Good morning. Good morning. I'm exceptionally pleased to be here in Berlin. I would like to thank Minister Baerbock and our German allies for hosting this informal meeting of foreign ministers. We are at the moment of significant changes in European security, and NATO stands strong in support of Ukraine and in defending the 1 billion people living in our allied nations. Yesterday evening we were joined by the Swedish and Finnish foreign ministers. We know and we fully respect the democratic processes taking place in these two vibrant democracies, and if they will decide to seek membership, I'm confident that allies will look constructively and positively for their membership into this alliance. Finland and Sweden are already the closest partners of NATO. We work with them in many ways. As I mentioned, they are vibrant democracies. They have an impeccable rule of law. They have strong militaries. They already contribute, and also they are very interoperable with the rest of NATO. Also today we'll be focusing on the latest development in Ukraine. The brutal invasion of Russia is losing momentum, and with the significant support from allies and partners in billions of dollars, in military support, in financial support, humanitarian support, we know that with the bravery of the Ukrainian people and army, and with our help, Ukraine can win this war. We also focus later today on the summit that our leaders will have in Madrid at the end of June. As you know, Secretary-General Stoltenberg has proposed the strategic concept that is now under negotiation. And of course, our foreign ministers today in Berlin will give further political guidance in order to make sure that we have a robust, forward-leaning document in Madrid that will indicate again the unity of NATO, the relevance of NATO, and the fact that NATO is future-proof. Again, our deep gratitude to the German host and German allies, and I look forward to continuing our discussion with the ministers at 30.
What message do you want to send to Vladimir Putin today, sir? Because there were, obviously the Russians were questioning whether or not there was a alliance before the invasion took place, and it seems to be miscalculated.
I would like to congratulate on and this is not something I'm making in a light way, because we have seen yesterday the immense public support all over Europe and Australia for the bravery of course the song was beautiful, it is beautiful. So the message we want to send to Mr. Putin is that they've started the most brutal and cynical war since the Second World War. That probably he was and still is surprised by the bravery of the Ukrainian people and by the unity of the political West. So I'm saying that we are united, we are strong, we'll continue to help Ukraine in winning this war.
Yesterday we heard from the Turkish Foreign Minister about their objections to Sweden and Finland joining NATO. So will this sort of come around, or could Turkish veto put an accession process together?
We had the discussion yesterday, the first round of our informal meeting. And like always in NATO, there is a frank and constructive discussion. This is something that we always discuss. Turkey is an important ally. They express concerns that are addressed and discussed in between friends and allies. And I'm confident that if these two countries will decide in the next few days, I understand, to seek membership in NATO, that will be being able to welcome them and to find all conditions for consensus to be met.
Secretary-General several times mentioned that Russia's invasion in Ukraine shows how important it is to protect other allies, other partners such as Georgia, Moldova, Bosnia and Herzegovina. When you are discussing about the future of allies and strategic concept, what should Georgia wait from the Madrid summit?
As I mentioned, NATO will always respect the right of nations in Europe and around the world to choose their own path. This is not subject to anyone else's veto. It's the discussion about that country and the organization they want to join. Georgia is an enhanced opportunity partner for us. We've been working with them for years and years. And I also know that the leadership of Georgia will be invited at the NATO summit. Open door policy remains sacrosanct for NATO, and I can say that Georgia is a very important partner. The Black Sea is becoming more important. We see the de facto blockade of the Black Sea in an attempt by Russia to suffocate Ukraine's economy and also to create food insecurity in many other parts of the world. I also know that, not in a military way, the Republic of Moldova, Bosnia and Herzegovina, another very important partner of ours. So allies, also European Union, we are looking in ways to make sure that these partners are supported by us in these complex moments.
Thank you very much, colleague.
One last question.
One last question, DPA.
How do you see the export restrictions for weapon deliveries to Turkey? What's your opinion on it, and also the fate of the United States of the F-35?
Listen, we are not commenting on national decision by allies. These are decisions that are done in a sovereign way. What I can say that the unity of the alliance, especially in the last few months, over time historically, but over this last few months since the invasion by Russia of Ukraine, has been impeccable. And this is the strength of everything we do. Look at the impeccable coordination between NATO. G7 was held yesterday here in Germany, the EU, NATO and the G7. Look at the way in which other partners, look at Rammstein, where we had 40 plus nations coordinating in supporting Ukraine. So bilateral issues do happen. We are democracies, there are sovereign decisions and discussions, we respect that, but I would emphasize again the spirit of unity and the spirit of common belonging. And NATO is the platform of transatlantic security conversation, and I'm very proud, Secretary-General Stoltenberg is very proud of the way in which allies are united in a common endeavor. Ukraine can win this war.
To the Black Sea, especially in the south, in the Black Sea, where Romania is located. And this is a very important matter for the summit in Madrid to decide. Of course, we will discuss about how to further support Ukraine. Romania was very much involved in a multidimensional effort to support Ukraine's effort to defend itself, to support the refugees coming in Romania. Almost 1 million people crossed our borders, and the humanitarian effort was huge. At the same time, we are supporting the economy of Ukraine by facilitating the transfer of Ukrainian goods, including grains, through our ports, on the Danube and the Black Sea, the Constanța Harbor, which is the largest port in the Black Sea, towards other destinations. But we have to discuss also how to support politically and concretely more other partners like Republic of Moldova and Georgia, who are also under pressure because of the consequences of the war Russia has started in Ukraine. And last but not least, discussing about the new strategic strategic concept is very important, because this will be the first and the most important deliverable of the Madrid summit. The strategic concept will define the guidelines of the alliance for the next decade, at least for the next decade. And what we want is an ambitious new strategic concept, which is anchored in the reality that we are facing nowadays, which are defined and shaped by the Russian aggression against Ukraine. So we are not discussing theoretically. We have to have a strategic concept which is very much focused on what we need now. And we need to consolidate NATO. We need to make NATO more powerful, stronger, united, and to be able to face all consequences and challenges of nowadays. For us, an important issue in the strategic concept is to give priority to collective defense and to define Russia the threat. There are also many other issues in the strategic concept that needs to be discussed. We will express them today.
Minister, you mentioned that one of the main issues is to strengthen the Black Sea region, and you mentioned Georgia as well. What can our country make on the Madrid summit? And discussing about and talking about the strategic concept, where is the Georgia's role in this process?
Well, I cannot speak on behalf of all my colleagues, but I can speak on behalf of Romania. Romania always supported the Euro-Atlantic and European perspectives of Georgia. We are supporting the accession of Georgia to the European Union. So, as far as Romania is concerned, we consider that Georgia is a de facto member of the alliance, providing a lot of support to the missions of the alliance, and we have to discuss seriously within the alliance what kind of further support we can offer Georgia in order to increase its resilience. Because resilience is important. Resilience will have an important role in the new strategic concept, not only as far as the allies and the NATO as a whole, but also as far as our partners are concerned. Thank you.
Have you been surprised by the position that Turkey took? Did you understand yesterday exactly what they asked?
Well, surprise in diplomacy is not something that we should welcome, but what I can say is that I understood perfectly what are the concerns of Turkey. It was an exchange with the colleagues from Finland and Sweden as well, so we have, well, both sides, let's say, positions, and there were contacts already last night discussing what are the possibilities for moving forward. I think we shouldn't lose momentum. This is extremely important, especially in the current context, and if you remember the proposals which were made by Russia in December with those draft treaties that were advanced for conclusion to the United States and to NATO, in which Russia basically wanted to put a halt or a stop to the enlargement policy of NATO. I think it's extremely important to show that this is a matter for allies only and for, of course, candidate states. And that's why I think it is important to find a solution and to have a swift process of ratification of the accession protocols and welcome both countries within NATO, because I think, and I think on behalf of Romania, that this would make the alliance stronger. Thank you. Thank you.
NATO ministerial meeting in Berlin. We have issues of crucial importance to discuss, and I'm confident that all allies will demonstrate unity on all of them, since it's crucial given the changing political landscape. North Macedonia, as the newest NATO member, strongly supports the NATO's open door policy, and thus Sweden's and Finland's aspiration to join NATO, and we consider it as an important step for the overall security of our Euro-Atlantic area. Also, Western Balkans will be inevitable part of the future European security architecture, and thus NATO's open door policy and EU enlargement as the two main pillars underpinning it will be part of the new strategic concept. Thank you so much.
Good morning to everyone. So today our first meeting will discuss the Russian invasion on Ukraine and its implication on the European security, including on NATO future defense position, and our alliance, the alliance firmly stand with the people from Ukraine, resisting aggression. NATO allies have provided support, including equipment, financial support, training for many years now. Croatia itself will also continue its diplomatic, political, humanitarian, financial, military support to Ukraine, as confirmed by Prime Minister Plenković, who visited Ukraine on 8 May this year. And our next meeting will be dedicated to NATO next strategic concept. We want to make our alliance stronger, more capable to meet the challenges of the next decade. Thank you very much. Oh, I think so. The discussion is going. It's on the good track, and today I hope we'll have a final fruitful discussion and a good outcome. So to show solidarity and to speak with one voice. Thank you very much.
How much time do you need to ratify the accession protocols?
It depends on the country, but when it comes to Croatia, the procedure should get to the Croatian Parliament, starting on with the proposal of the government, and we need just a simple majority in Croatian Parliament. I hope next month. I'm sure that it will be finished the ratification in the next upcoming months. So, thank you.
I would like to ask you to make a comment.
Good morning, Minister.
Good morning.
Do you want to take a few questions from us?
What does that mean? Few questions.
Well, we just want to ask you.
I'll have one.
Last night we weren't invited, so.
Sorry?
We weren't invited to dinner last night, so we're hoping you could.
Yes. When there is next informal meeting, I can guarantee you in Slovakia you will be invited. So.
Well, I mean, did you get any clarity from your Turkish counterpart about what they want from Sweden and Finland?
Well, clarity is that Turkey is a very important and valued ally. We've listened carefully to our good colleague Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, and I'm absolutely certain that we'll find a solution that will meet concerns of the two countries that obviously want to join the alliance. And on behalf of Slovakia, I want to say that we welcome wholeheartedly both Finland and Sweden to this alliance.
Is the discussion also about weapon deliveries to Turkey?
Weapon deliveries to Turkey? No.
Restrictions on weapons that will not remain to be delivered to Turkey. This could of course be lifted.
I mean, look, we are looking at the ways how to find consensus in order to respond positively to Finnish and Swedish requests to become members. And as I've said, we'll find a solution to that. Yeah, thank you.
We are hearing, yes. What it means, how important today is this?
Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
What message do you want to send to Vladimir Putin today,
Good morning. Schönen guten Morgen. Good morning. I will start briefly in German and then I will add in English. And please, I thank for your understanding that I have a press conference afterwards and then I will also answer to all the questions. So briefly in English, good morning everybody. This is really a historical moment in a tragic time. Normally this meeting has been planned as an informal meeting, first time in NATO history to have an informal meeting. Normally informal is nothing you think of when you think of NATO, but in this moment where everything is different in Europe, in the Euro-Atlantic region, this is just a timely moment for having a meeting where we can speak open, speak without prepared notes, speak as friends, because we might take a decision which we didn't think of before the 24th of February. NATO was always an alliance for defense. It will stay always an alliance for defense, but before the 24th of February it was for some countries not the most important thing to join. This has changed, especially for our friends in Nordic Europe, Sweden and Finland. People didn't want to join NATO, but now they are being pushed into NATO because they want to live in peace and security, and therefore I'm really happy that we could welcome yesterday evening here my dear friends Pekka and Ann, the foreign ministers of Sweden and Finland, and we underlined that they are not only very close partners, that we are not only having done missions already together, but that our doors are more than open, and if their parliaments, if the societies are going to decide to join NATO, this will make us even stronger defense-wise, but also with our values as democratic partners. Therefore, Germany has prepared everything to do a quick ratification process, and yesterday evening many countries has underlined this as well, that it's an important part, that there won't be an inter-between time, a grey zone, but that if these two countries are deciding to join, they can join very quickly. Besides this, we are discussing today about the big question about the NATO strategic concept, again in a format which is new, but new times also need new answers. Guten Morgen, jetzt auch nochmal auf Deutsch in Kurzform. Wir kommen hier zum ersten informellen Treffen der NATO-Staaten zusammen. Informell ist eigentlich nichts, wo man sofort an die NATO denkt, aber in diesen Zeiten ist es genau das richtige Format, der richtige Ort, zusammenzukommen. Denn seit dem 24. Februar ist unsere Welt eine andere und ist auch die Bedeutung der NATO eine andere. Wir haben Frieden, wir haben Freiheit, wir haben vor allen Dingen Sicherheit in Europa als was für Selbstverständliches immer angesehen. Gerade viele jüngere Menschen in unseren europäischen Ländern im transatlantischen Raum. Und wir haben auf brutale Art und Weise erleben müssen, dass diese Sicherheit eben keine Selbstverständlichkeit ist. Und in dem Moment, wo alle in Europa mehr Sicherheit brauchen, machen wir als NATO-Partner deutlich, unsere Türen stehen offen für die, die jetzt Sicherheitsunterstützung benötigen. Und das sind unsere engen Freunde und Partner Finnland und Schweden. Und deswegen freue ich mich sehr, dass gestern Abend der finnische Außenminister und die schwedische Außenministerin auch zu Gast waren, weil ihre beiden Länder, die eigentlich immer gesagt haben, unser Zuhause ist die Europäische Union als politisches Gremium. Wir sind nicht Teil der NATO, deutlich gemacht haben. Aber jetzt müssen wir Teil der NATO werden, weil Russland uns in die NATO hineingepusht hat. Und in diesem Moment stehen unsere Türen offen. Die NATO ist ein Bündnis, was auf Verteidigung setzt. Das wird es auch immer bleiben. Aber es ist auch ein Bündnis der offenen Türen. Und deswegen heißen wir Finnland und Schweden, wenn sich ihre Parlamente, wenn sich ihre Gesellschaften dafür entscheiden, herzlich willkommen. Uns ist wichtig, gerade mir auch als deutsche Außenministerin, dass in diesem schwierigen Moment, der ein Moment ist, wo man gerade im Norden Europas ja nochmal einen historischen Schritt geht, weil eben alle 5 nordischen Länder dann Mitglied einer gemeinsamen Sicherheits- und Verteidigungsunion sind, dass wir in diesem besonderen, für diese Staaten wirklich historischen Moment keine Hängepartie erleben, sondern wir müssen dann ganz deutlich machen, in diesem Moment geben wir euch auch Sicherheit. Es darf keine Zwischenphase, keine graue Phase geben, wo unklar ist, wie der Status eigentlich ist. Und deswegen haben wir als Bundesrepublik, deswegen haben wir als Bundesregierung alles dafür vorbereitet, einen sehr, sehr schnellen Ratifizierungsprozess zu machen. So wie NATO vielleicht nicht automatisch mit informell verknüpft wird, werden wir nicht immer als sehr, sehr schnell verknüpft. Aber in dem Moment werden wir sehr, sehr schnell sein, haben das bereits gemeinsam mit allen demokratischen Parteien auch besprochen, dass wenn Finnland und Schweden sich entscheiden, Mitglied der NATO werden zu wollen, wir sehr, sehr schnell in Deutschland sowie viele unserer anderen Partner dann auch ratifizieren können. Herzlichen Dank und wir sehen uns später bei der Pressekonferenz.
Ministerin, hat die Türkei ihr Veto zurückgezogen?
Good morning. I think this is a historical informal meeting among NATO foreign ministers that we have here in Berlin. Very, very pleased to be here. Yesterday we had our close 2 partners with us, Sweden and Finland, and we will look forward to see what their decision will be. But there's no doubt Denmark will, of course, support warmly if Finland and Denmark decide to join NATO to have a speedy process and ensure that we will have them as part of our family. What we see in the world and Europe today is that authoritarianism is back in a very brutal form. When Putin, Russia, illegally now show aggression against Ukraine by the war of conquest that we see, we have all to come together. We do that in European Union, we do that also in NATO, and we do that with helping our Ukrainian friends. We do that with sanctions. We also do that with help of military help to Ukrainians so they can defend their own country. So we have to look into a world where we cannot take our security for granted, our values, democratic values and rules, international rules for granted, and therefore we all as democratic countries has to stand up. So today, when we are going to discuss our new strategical concept of NATO, we have to take stock of that situation and improve all of our cooperation, both the political and the security and military part of it. And we have to see into a world where Russia and Putin is an aggressor, where we, compared to last time in 2010, where Russia was a partner and China was not even mentioned in the concept, now we will see that Russia is an aggressor and China is a rising country in the world. So we need to stand united in NATO about around our values, democratic values. We need to stand united around our security, and I look forward to the discussion today on these matters, and I also look forward to the discussion for continuous support for Ukraine in the situation that they are in, and we will not stop supporting democratic values and Ukraine and countering authoritarianism before it ends.
And also, what your main message to Georgian people as we are waiting on this concept and summit also in Georgia government will be representative Spain and open door policy is also very, very important for us.
Yeah, it's no doubt that the partner countries to NATO, it's very important for us, including Georgia, that we have a close and strong partnership. Our view in Denmark is that each and every European country has a fundamental right to choose their own security arrangement. No country can have a veto over that, Russia or anybody else. And we have to protect our democratic values. We see now in a world where the enemy of democracy, number one, is Putin and the thinking that he represents. And we have to counter that, and we will help and stand with also Georgia and other countries that are now being instrumentalized for this kind of authoritarianism and aggression from the Russian side. Okay, thank you.
Good morning. I'm here in Berlin at the NATO Foreign Ministers meeting. We were very pleased to be joined by our friends Finland and Sweden. If they do apply to join NATO, the UK is strongly supportive of that. We're also working closely with the Ukrainians and the Poles and others to make sure that Ukraine has NATO standard defence. It's also important today that we focus on a global NATO, because as well as protecting Euro-Atlantic security, we also need to watch out for Indo-Pacific security too. Thank you.
What message are you sending to Vladimir Putin, Foreign Secretary? Big week for Brexit.
Good morning. It's really good to be here today on this informal NATO ministers meeting and to discuss the preparations for the upcoming NATO's Madrid summit. For us, it's absolutely crucial that we are going to have strategic decisions in Madrid how to strengthen the NATO's eastern flank, how to strengthen its defense and deterrence posture, and we would like to see upcoming decisions related to also forward defense with a forward defense concept for the eastern flank. Yesterday we also of course discussed NATO's open door policy, and Estonia has been a vocal supporter of NATO's open door policy, because we believe that our own case is one of the successes in this regard. And of course from Estonian side we would love to welcome Sweden and Finland to NATO, and of course it would be also a very good signal for other aspirant countries. And so this is it, and thank you.
morning, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Spain. Today I will join my colleagues to continue to build consensus and around the strategic concept to ask for a strong response for the eastern flank and a strong response for Russia. Also a component for the southern flank, because in these days in which our attention is completely focused correctly towards Russia and the eastern flank, we must not forget that from the south there are also Russian threats, and that the same threats concerning energy supplies, the political use of irregular migration, jihadism and terrorism remain strongly in places such as the Sahel or the Mediterranean region. And thirdly, we will work for unity. As yesterday during the dinner concerning the accession of Finland and Sweden, to which Spain is completely favorable, I will work for unity once again. Thank you.
Minister, one question on the strategic concept. How do you see the balance between the three core tasks?
Both the three of them remain necessary. They have been successful so far. Deterrence is now a very important issue and very high, but without the other two, it will not be possible for the alliance to carry out its mission. Thank you.
Minister, quick word from the BBC.
Sorry? It's a possibility that we have to study. If we have to look very carefully to the threats that we have, and we will do it today, and then to see what's the best solution to meet them.
This is all about solidarity and standing together. Do you have a concern that maybe the UK's relationship with the EU could change in this coming week over the Brexit deal? Is this a concern you're thinking about?
Concerning the Brexit, we have a withdrawal agreement where we clearly have established the framework in which we have to work, and I'm sure that the United Kingdom, and they have always done, they will respect the international agreement, and this is one. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Minister, can I ask, you will continue discussions?
Yeah, we will need to have
Tag. Ja, wir sind.
What a coincidence! Each time.
Next time again.
It was like universal as well.
Ja.
Good to see you. I'll leave you alone.
Allez, komm. Schnell. So. Heute reden wir ja nicht über Erweiterung, das haben wir gestern alles gelöst. Wir haben das ja jetzt gesehen. Leider sind wir noch immer in einer Phase, wo wir reden müssen über, wie können wir der Ukraine am besten helfen und Sanktionen aufrechterhalten. Allerdings müssen wir auch wissen, wir sind Außenminister der NATO, der Europäischen Union, und wir dürfen keine Sekunde verlieren und uns vorbereiten, dass wenn die russischen Waffen ruhen, dass wir keine Sekunde verlieren, um der Diplomatie wieder eine Chance zu geben. Das ist, glaube ich, die Aufgabe der Außenminister, egal in welcher Organisation. Es gibt noch keine Anzeichen, aber man kann doch trotzdem deuten, diese Rede von Putin am 9. Mai zeigt doch, dass, glaube ich, auch im Kopf dieses Menschen und vielleicht auch, hoffe ich, dieses Landes eingesehen wird, dass man die Welt nicht verbessern kann und auch nicht dominieren kann mit Waffen. Ich hoffe, dass der Moment sehr schnell kommt, denn es sind schon zu viele gestorben, damit wir unsere Aufgabe als Außenminister, die eine Aufgabe ist, um Frieden herzustellen wieder und auch Frieden aufrechtzuerhalten, mit den Mitteln, die die kultivierte Diplomatie uns gibt, dass wir das wieder tun können. Okay?
Herr Minister, Sie haben gesagt, es wurde gelöst mit der Erweiterung. Schwedischer Rundfunk. Was meinen Sie damit?
Yeah, I'm sure that we've found common positions on the strategic concept. It's a very tragic backdrop to the discussion today. But because of that, I think I'm sure that we will find common solutions that we can agree upon in NATO. So.
Verantwortung auf seine Schultern zu nehmen und dann dagegen zu sein, dass Finnland und Schweden, wenn eine Katastrophe geschehen würde, diese Verantwortung zu tragen. Diese Gespräche werden geführt und ich bin zuversichtlich. Also aus meiner Erfahrung bin ich zuversichtlich, dass das geht. Aber natürlich, Türkei ist manchmal schwierig, wir sind vielleicht auch manchmal schwierig, aber für Finnland und für Schweden
Gentlemen, please.
Good morning. Welcome back, and welcome to the second day of our informal ministerial. Let me thank again Minister Baerbock. Thank you so much for hosting us in Berlin for this first of a kind informal meeting of NATO foreign ministers. Ministers met last night with Ministers Haavisto and Linde of Finland and Sweden. Today we will address the ongoing war in Ukraine and our response to President Putin's unjustified attack on a sovereign nation, including our support to Ukraine and our efforts to prevent an escalation of the conflict. Later today, we look forward to the summit in Madrid. Allied leaders will take important decisions when they meet next month, including adopting the next strategic concept, a blueprint for the alliance for the decade to come. I will now ask Minister Baerbock to deliver her remarks. Please.
Thank you, Deputy General. Dear colleagues, I'm delighted to welcome you all again, and especially Tony Blinken this morning. Where is he sitting? There. To Berlin, and I hope you had a good evening yesterday night. As a result of the NATO reform process last year, we will all decided to strengthen our alliance as a forum for political consultations. Today we are taking an important step in this direction. With this new type of meeting, we add an interactive and informal element to NATO's annual calendar. Germany has always supported strengthening NATO politically, and I would like to thank again Secretary-General Jens, who unfortunately cannot join us today, for his determination to make this happen, and thank you all, dear colleagues and friends, for taking this leap of faith with us to try to do something new and add so far an unusual element for NATO, and doing something out of the box is maybe not very known for NATO, but in these times, in these horrible times, we all have to reach out of our box and comfort zones, and therefore I thank you a lot, and I think yesterday evening already marked that this is very good also for the trust in our alliance. This will, I hope, and if you allow, I would call it Berlin format, will hope to allow us for a lively discussion as we did yesterday evening, also today, and in the future allow us to strengthen NATO as a political forum. In face of Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine, NATO creed of one for all and all for one is even more important than ever. Our security, our freedom, our values are under threat. But together we will defend them. Our unity remains our greatest strength. In light of this dramatic situation, two of our closest partners are considering joining us. Yesterday evening we welcomed our Finnish and Swedish colleagues who briefed us on the latest steps in their decision-making process. In the current security environment, it is necessary to strengthen NATO politically, but also militarily. We all already underlined when we met last time in Brussels that we will step up our military support to protect our alliance and to be strengthened with regard to the breach of law by Russia and Russians' aggressive behavior. I look forward to an open exchange with all of you throughout the course of the day. We have much to discuss, as the Deputy General underlined: support for Ukraine, the consequences of Russia's war for NATO's defense posture, but also NATO's new strategic concept, providing NATO with political framework for the years to come. This informal meeting builds a bridge to the summit in June, where we will meet next. And dear Minister of Spain, dear Joseph, I'm very much looking forward to expanding on today's meeting and discussions in sunny Madrid next month, and thank you all for coming. And now I hand back to Mircea. Thanks a lot, colleagues.
Thank you so much, Annalena from sunny Berlin. Let me thank the media for joining us this morning, and we'll resume our meeting in just a moment.